All right, everyone. We are back with a new episode of With Love Solé. And as always, I'm super excited about this one because I have a beautiful guest with me today, Shani, who is in Kenya, joining me from Kenya. Super excited to have you, Shani. She is also in the healing arts. She makes healing content on a YouTube channel very similar to mine, actually, that focuses much on self-mastery. It is the channel, it's called Shanificent, and is otherwise just in the healing arts, is a healer by nature. Shani, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. I love connecting with you. I know we've connected much on my channel, and I got the pleasure of checking out yours and was totally blown away by what you're doing over there and excited to see you grow. So tell the people just kind of how you got into all of this and what brought you to this place in your life.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for saying that. It's an honor that you watch my stuff and you appreciate what I put out. So how did I get here? Whew. Okay, I guess I've just been on the journey of self-mastery myself for quite a few years now. I've always loved knowing more about myself. I think growing up and just in my life generally, I've been quite a mystery to myself, or I've always had so many questions about myself. Like, why do I do this? You know, just like things like, why don't I like sleepovers when other people do? Like, why don't, things that just led me down this path. So anything I could find that would help me learn more about myself, I loved. And I wanted to, like, any quiz, any like BuzzFeed, whatever, any online quiz I found. I did Myers-Briggs, and then when I got into astrology, I got into astrology when I was around 19, is when I realized, like, oh my God, it's huge. And there's more than just your sun sign. And that was what really, like, I think that was the main entry point into my real, like, deep self-study. That's when I got really deep, is what I'm trying to say. And so, yeah, I just learned so much about myself through that. And then I was able to learn so much about other people through astrology as well. I started I was doing readings at one point, like when I was 23, 2-3 years ago. I was doing readings, tried to do that. So I've always been trying to, once I realized the power of, like, knowing myself, I really wanted to share that with other people. And I've been trying to share that light with other people ever since, So this year I recently started my channel. I started it 4 months ago, actually, like around the same time you started yours. So I started it recently, and, like, this is super new for me to actually just talk and just, like, share myself in this way. Because even when I was doing readings, I knew I could get onto YouTube and, like, put out videos and put out content talking about astrology and also just marketing my services. But I was nervous. I was scared. Like, I just wasn't there yet. I was not there yet at that time. And, like, now I am. So I'm here.
Wow. So amazing. I love that. And it's so significant and meaningful that you kind of had this experience of being different. And, that path then led you towards, like, what is it? What makes me different? Why have I always felt sort of different? And then you kind of find the tools that help you define yourself in some way, and then turn around and gift them back to the world to say, in case anybody feels like I feel, here's what I figured out for myself, and here's what works for me to, enjoy my differences, like what makes me different, appreciate what makes me different, and the path that it puts me on. I think that there's so many of us who are kind of on that conscious path who've figured out that we're a little bit different. Maybe we have specific gifts or what have you, and they've just kind of unfolded as time has gone on. And then, through that journey, then we turn around and help others, right? I think you and I really share that mission. And that's so much of the kind of, the light worker mission, so to speak, or just the conscious, the awakened mission, is to just figure it out for yourself and then just speak totally from self-experience, right? Instead of just like textbook, like learning, it's like experiential learning, life learning, and then turning around and being like, all right, guys, this is what I figured out for me. So if this resonates, hopefully it helps you. And I think it's so important. I mean, what you're doing is so important because there are a lot of people who need your voice and to need to hear and be normalized by your experience and what you've gone through and what you've figured out for yourself. So, kudos and flowers to you for doing that work, not only for yourself, because that's the hardest work of all, but then to just be willing to kind of, put your voice out there and be heard and be different and own that you're different and own your gifts and all the things. So as you've done that, you know, is this something that so being kind of in the healing arts and in this world, is it something that your family is also into, or the people around you are generally into?
Yeah, kind of. My mom is a coach.
Cool.
She's a life coach. She's an executive coach, and she's based here in Nairobi, in Kenya. Wow. So yeah, she's been a huge influence, kind of like an unofficial and like in the background kind of influence on me in this, getting into this field. I think that's why I felt comfortable, like, I felt comfortable owning my like role in healing and like my love for healing, just because my mom has kind of always embodied that energy throughout my life, like even just raising us. Like she would like, I'm sorry, Dad, if you're watching this and you don't like this, but she would like let us, she would be down for me to stay home from school when I was like in elementary school, like primary school, if I was feeling kind of tired. She would be okay with that. She was like, oh yeah, like she understood. One huge thing she did is she understood fatigue. She understood being tired, and she never made it a problem. And she understood rest days and just kind of like bumming around in the house days. Like, okay, we can take a day to like, we're not doing anything today. This is a nothing day. We're just in the house in our comfy clothes. So just that energy has really helped me, I think, just feel comfortable showing up like this, even though it has been a struggle. Like, I won't lie to you, but at least, you know, like, I think with all of this, it's love that like, that helps you, that helps you like just navigate the unknown and the mess and the craziness and the chaos. Like love is like, it's like you're riding on a boat of love, you know? And like, I feel like even my dad too, like the way that they've loved me and like the love they've offered me has really helped me be the person I am today, and like be able to come onto YouTube and like speak my heart and stuff like that.
That is so, so amazing. Kudos to your parents, because, you know, everybody's, of course, relationship to their parents is different, especially when you're in this world. Some people, you know, parents don't resonate with it at all. And, you know, and then there's the spectrum between that and what you have. But how amazing. You know, it's funny because a lot of the times when I kind of talk about loves on like my posts and stuff, I'm really talking about my mom, because I totally share that with you. And having a mom who just holds a space for you to be who you are and just to normalize you and, like you said, prioritize rest, like the highest gift of all. I really feel like that's the highest gift of all.
Exactly. Exactly. Because like, yeah, I don't know, like love is the healer. Like love is it. Like, you know, like it's love. You know, I think it's just about us all figuring out how we can have love inside ourselves, how we can have the right kind of love, and like how to navigate it, how to hold it, how to work with it, then how to share it. You know, like that's what it's about. So
true.
I told you, shout out to loving parents.
Truly. I mean, because we learn love from them, right? And whether that's, you know, a good thing or a bad thing. And of course, good and bad are always subjective, but, you know, whether we learn love in like a very healthy way of like, you know, it being a safe space for us to learn ourselves, or in more of an unhealthy way of like kind of learning what love is not, you know, in a way. Many people, I think, do learn what love is not from their parents in some ways. And that's, you know, just, and I really do believe that we come in with that agreement that this is kind of what we're going to learn from them, what we've agreed to before we came here. And so it's, again, it's not right or wrong. It's just what the dynamic is and what the agreement is. And they're showing up in their end of the agreement. And then we're a kid, not having any idea what's going on, just trying to figure things out. But just to have, you know, a safe container of a parent who loves you and genuinely just wants the best for you and wants you to be you and figure out what that means. Like, you know, it has been such a key for me personally. And I'm sure for you too, to becoming who we are ultimately.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So amazing. So have you always kind of been in this, like, you know, arena of thought and kind of the healing arts? And has it always been something that interested you, or was it something that kind of came on at some point? Do you feel like you had kind of like an awakening or, you know, anything like that at some point, or has it just been sort of a slow process into this version of you?
I think it's been both, actually. Like, it does feel like it's been a slow process, because it's like it was almost like it was a mystery for me to find. It was hard for me to find. It was hard for me to like find healing for myself and find healing in myself. Like just like find it and bring it to me. I don't know, because I've always been interested in people, even as a kid. Like I studied my degrees in psychology. And I thought I love psychology when I first came across it. Like I first took a class in high school, and then that's what made me decide to do it in college. But then like once I actually got deep into it, like my senior year of college, I was like, I realized what it was. I saw psychology for what it was. And I was like, oh, I don't think this can help me help people and help myself. Like I'm trying to like I'm here, like I'm not just here to be in academia and to like think about, like, I don't know. For example, like I was taking a metacognition class, and like, that's like that concept in and of itself is cool. Well, that's what I thought. Like metacognition is like thinking about thinking. So I thought, okay, cool. Like this is like, that's amazing. We can really get into the mind, conscious, whatever, the psyche, like that sounds fun. But it was so mechanical and like so mechanical. So that was like a very frustrating experience for me, because I was just like, I want to help myself and help people. And I didn't even think that was a conscious, I didn't consciously know I wanted to do that, but subconsciously I was like, I knew what I was looking for, like my subconscious knew what I was looking for. And I just couldn't find it in psychology. So, I mean, I was also sort of like discovering myself as an artist as well, because I'm also a visual artist. And I only realized that when I was like 21. So I'm like finishing college, hating my degree, realizing it's not bringing me what I want. Wow. And what I need, while also not really knowing what I want. And then so I just kind of had to follow my heart. Like, what else do you do when you don't know when you don't know anything and like everything is confusing? I just had to follow my intuition, and my intuition was telling me to pursue my love for fashion, because I've always loved fashion.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I need to go and do that. And in doing that, then I got into like the creative path, or the kind of like lifestyle of a creative, which helped me so much in my own healing, and is what got me to this point here today where I'm talking to you, because I just left the kind of like, I was in this paradigm of like, I don't know, like 9 to 5, I need to eat 3 meals a day. I remember trying to like force myself to eat 3 meals a day and like feeling awful about myself. I'm a Virgo. I'm a very strong Virgo. So if I didn't do that, and like I didn't eat solid meals a day with like carbohydrates, protein, and vegetables or whatever. And just like I also moved around a lot. Like I ended up here in Kenya. So I was doing the creative lifestyle, living a creative lifestyle. And when I say creative lifestyle, I just mean like literally a lifestyle that is created from, I guess, from your heart, from your intuition. So the hours are the kind of hours they are, you know, you're setting your own goals, anyway. So I'm doing that. I'm doing that in Nairobi, Kenya, which is a completely different cultural environment to the UK, which is like where I grew up. Or the US, which is where I went to college. So like, it's just so different. And being here and living this lifestyle just helped me heal in like really profound ways. I mean, like I've always been on a healing journey. Maybe that's just what life is. Like I'm always trying to do what's good for me. And I think that's one way to like keep yourself going on the healing journey, just prioritizing what's really good for you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I also did, I feel like I started my awakening when I was kind of like 19, 20, because I realized I hated everything around me. I hated all the things I did. I hated all the classes I was taking weren't interesting me. This was in college. Yeah. I didn't like I was just like, I don't like any of the things I do. What's up with that? So I just quit. I quit everything. Yeah. And then for a semester, I was just like doing nothing, basically. Like I kind of emptied myself out. And it was slow. Like, I don't know how other people's awakenings are. I've never really spoken to anyone about their awakening in particular, but like, it was definitely slow. It wasn't like, whoa, like everything is like this. And like, this is the truth. Like, very slow, but that was the first beginning of like, oh, like I don't really like my life. And I was like, I went abroad. I studied abroad the next year. I was living in Spain for a year, and that was a super difficult and isolating experience because I was like speaking Spanish, like living in Spanish, a language that I had previously only known in a classroom.
Right.
Yeah, it was now like I was now living in it, and like I had a host family, and I'm a huge introvert, but like I'm now living in Spanish, living in a city. I'm not a city girl. Like it doesn't suit me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer more of like just like suburban or like, you know, more rural, looking outside and seeing grass. But like now I'm living in Madrid. I'm in a city. I'm speaking Spanish. I have a host family, and my host mom, God bless her, she had every good intention, but like she would always ask me about my day and like who I ate lunch with and where I ate lunch and all these things like at the end of the day. So it was just a lot. It was a lot. So I mean, I think I say all this to say it feels like it's been a lot of tossing and turning and tumbling and like confusion and stuff like that. But yeah, just holding on to what truly feels good and like being honest with myself.
Absolutely.
I think
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's so much of the path, you know. That's why I think it takes such courage, because it's really not something you can plan out. You know, it's like it takes you going to college to realize that that's not really what you resonate with when you thought that's what it was and that's where your life was going to go. And you have to kind of figure out what you're not going to do before you figure out what you're going to do. And, you know, there's a lot of doing, and then undoing and learning and then unlearning, right? And so it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to even be willing to go to college for something and realize, like, you know what, this is just not resonating with me. This is not what I thought it was going to kind of light me up or be, you know, and then to be willing to figure out what lights you up and continue to go on your path without, you know, a like very clear plan. Or, you know, I feel like on this true spiritual path, it's really hard to like 5-year, 10-year plan at all, because
so hard.
I mean, it's kind of impossible, you know.
Exactly.
And I don't know, does that affect your Virgo brain?
Yeah, right. A lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. But, you know, and so maybe that's a part of your work, is to just kind of challenge that tendency and that, you know, need or desire to kind of have organization and clarity even, you know. I think, you know, and anybody's brain, you know, I think we all kind of in some way, kind of as naturally as human beings, do desire, you know, a clear path and, you know, a knowing what's coming next, and that kind of like a general kind of idea of what's happening. And half the time on the spiritual path, I feel like we just have no clue what is going on, you know.
None at all.
Yeah, because it's all about developing yourself. And then once you develop yourself, okay, how do I apply who I am and my gifts and what I like about myself to the world, in a world that I don't even really feel like I fit in, and nothing ever, you know, you're really having to create new context, new language, a new reality for you to exist in, and then tell people, all right, guys, this is what we're doing. You know, this is what I'm on. If you like it, cool, come with me, you know. But I really believe that's how the new paradigm is built, you know, because it takes each one of us building our own little, I like to call it heaven on earth, because I feel like the more you go down the path, the better you feel, and the more just fun life becomes, even if you're, you know, don't even have a clear idea of what you're doing, or your career is not fully laid out yet, or whatever it is. You know, it feels so good at the end of the day to just be so, you know, faithful to your heart's desires and to your spiritual mission, that it's like, I don't even care what it looks like anymore. It's just going to be what it is, because as long as I feel as good as I feel, and I love my life as much as I do, and I can go out into the world and just see my light reflect itself, like at least I have that, right? And that's like the foundation of it. And then from there, it's just up, right? Because then you start your channel and you start talking, and, you know, you get to connect with people and see how other people are kind of somewhat similar on their path, but it's always going to be different. And you can appreciate the differences now, instead of it being like weird to be different. Like now it's like, I love being different. I'm sure I sure and hope that you feel the same way.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like once again, you're speaking to my heart. This is why I love you and your content. Like, and yeah, just even speaking of that, like there's so much, like being able to bear witness and see people living from their heart, living their truth, and like living awakened has also been so incredible. Like
totally.
It was for you with your stuff. It started with your tweets. Like your tweets are incredible. For anyone watching this, like if you don't follow her on Twitter, like you absolutely need to be following her on Twitter, because her tweets are so powerful. Like your tweets are so powerful, and they've done so much for me. And I was so excited when you decided to get onto YouTube and like just talking more, because I love YouTube. I love the like slow learning, or like the longer videos. Like I'm a long video girl, you know. I can definitely sit with someone for 20+ minutes, you know, just hearing from them. So like, it was so amazing to be able to experience you like this too. And like, I I've learned so much and healed so much from people on YouTube and from people just being them and sharing themselves. I think there's so much power in just showing up as yourself. You know, people. That's one of the most, like, the beauties of the internet and where we are technologically, like, these days. Obviously, there's so much nonsense and BS that comes with it. But, like, being able to see people, like, because, like, this is the first conversation I've had with someone about self-mastery, about healing, where, like, I'm not the one kind of, like, holding the conversation, or, like, you know what I mean? Or, like, it's not exactly like a teacher-student dynamic. Like, it's like, this is the first conversation I've ever had in my life.
Wow. So amazing. Very cool. It's an honor. I love that.
So it's amazing. And, like, just seeing people. I don't know if I would have been able to do this without the internet, or be where I am today without the internet, and without social media.
Absolutely. You know, it's so true. And it makes me think of a video I saw you post recently. I think you were talking specifically about people, but it kind of, I would take it even on a bigger scale of, like, what is good and bad, right? Because, you know, many people think even Twitter is bad, right? Or, you know, they see a lot of garbage. And I'm like, I mean, my feed is pretty curated at this point that I feel safe to go on there, and I interact, you know, I like who I'm interacting with. I like how people are responding to me, and I love it, you know, but other people have very different experiences, right? But so when we start to think about good and bad and calling something good or bad, right? Like, what it makes you wonder, like, and even when it comes to people or tools or whatever it is, that what is inherently good and what is inherently bad, right? Because all things can be used ultimately for one or the other. And even people, right? We all have a different relationship and a different experience with every person. So one person may have experience with someone like, that's a bad person, I didn't like them. They, you know, a negative experience, so to speak. Another person has an experience with them. They're like, I thought they were great. You know, I loved them. They were nice. They spoke my language, whatever it is. But so we're always, it's like, to me, it comes down to the fact that the world and people specifically are always mirroring us back to us. So whatever, you know, if you have a problem with Twitter because you're not seeing what you like, maybe it's showing you that maybe you need to spend more time crafting and curating what you like, and give yourself, you know, a little bit more time and energy and space to do that and create the reality that you want, right? I mean, literally, we do that, and we can definitely do that on social media. And the same when we interact with people, you know, maybe there's something about a person that you don't like that maybe is some way mirroring you back to yourself, or at least, you know, trying to kind of help you see yourself better in some capacity, right? So I think that, you know, I talk about this often about the awakened person just using the world as a mirror, right? And so we are more thoughtful, I think, of what we kind of deem good and bad, because it doesn't even have to be one or the other. You know, it can be both even sometimes, and there are plenty of stuff that doesn't feel good and we don't love. And of course, but also, if you can just look at it objectively, like, okay, this is what's happening, or this is how I'm feeling about this person. And what is it bringing up in me? What is it about within me that I'm calling this thing or person bad? And if nothing else, you know, how can I make sure that I don't live in that energy, or, you know, whatever it is? But all things can help you see yourself better, even the bad things. So when you talked about that a little bit, and I love that you did a post on that, because I think that that's such an important thing to think about. Because yes, we all have a moral compass, and is there good and bad? I mean, obviously, killing people equals bad. Like, we can all probably pretty much agree on that, right? So it's like there's like an inner kind of moral knowing of what is at least right for you and what feels good to you and what doesn't, right? I think that's why intuition is so key, because if there is good and bad, it's somewhat subjective, and it's also led by your inner reality, and you kind of deciding moment to moment, yeah, this feels good and this feels like not good, or not what I want to engage with. So go talk to me a little bit more about that, because I love that you spoke on that. I think it's a really powerful thing to talk about.
Yeah. I was just inspired to talk about that because I know it keeps people up at night. I know people are like, people are like, when they do something and the idea, because everyone loves to think that they're a good person. Like, you know, like most people who haven't been introduced to this concept or this idea of bad being good and good being bad, and then all being one, like one circle, is like, everyone loves to think of themselves as a good person. So when they do something that falls under the category of bad person, they're like having an existential crisis. Like, it feels awful, literally keeping them up at night. Like, oh, will this person think I'm a bad person? Like, they're terrified. So like, I think for me, my motivation for creating my channel and like creating the content I do is just to bring more peace, to spread peace, to like help people find the peace within themselves. Cause there's always peace. I believe there's always peace in any situation. And I often ask myself, like, where's the peace in this situation? Like, where's the peace? Cause it's there. If you're open and available to feeling it, it is there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like the motivation behind that video as well. In particular, is just like, we're both good and bad people. Yeah. We're both good and bad people. And it's helped me as well, because especially being a Virgo, like the Virgo ego is very self-righteous, or like kind of like the dark side of Virgo is very self-righteous, very like, I'm holier than thou, like I am a gift to this earth, you know? So it can be very hard for us to see ourselves outside of that, and to recognize that sometimes we do harmful things, or we cause harm, or we make something worse. We always want to make something better, but sometimes we make something worse. We just do, you know? So yeah, like it's helped me to just see myself as just as much of a bad person as I am a good person. And really just like, it's a moment to moment thing. That was what I was trying to say in this video. It's a moment to moment thing. Like the question is, who are you going to be right now in this moment? And then in the next moment, and then in the next moment. And that's what's really creating your life, you know? Yeah. And then I also really wanted to stress that like, it's actually on you. Like, I don't even care. It's on you, because if you decide to do things with the underlying emotion, or like take an action or behave with an underlying emotion of fear, greed, you know, like wanting to hurt other people, then like that is the energy you're creating. That's the life you're creating for yourself. That's the energy you're bringing back to yourself, and you'll receive that back. So if you want that experience, you want that emotional experience, and you want to be in that emotional world, please continue, by all means, continue being your worst self. If you want peace, if you want more peace, if you want more love, if you want more yummy emotional experiences, and you want to live, you know, the life of your dreams, then like you need to act in accordance and act in alignment with that energy and with that frequency. Totally. And so yeah, like, you know, like it just like, I also stress like, so it's on you. The accountability is on you. And I think one huge aspect of self-mastery is taking accountability for everything you do.
Oh man.
For everything that happens in your life. Yes, even the bad stuff, the stuff that's uncomfortable, like it is helpful to ask yourself, how did I get here? Why is the situation happening to me? Yeah. And not in a like, why is this happening to me? You know, like I wonder why, like an open curiosity, like I wonder why this is happening to me. I wonder why I'm having the worst day of my life right now. I wonder. Yeah. You know? It is tough to like, when you're someone who takes accountability for everything you do, it can be tough to be around people and like engage with people and have people in your circles who don't.
Totally.
Adults who don't, you know, it can be tough.
Yeah, so true. Two things that I really love that you said. One is also that, you know, you were talking about, you know, you kind of only know if you're a good or a bad person. We all have the capacity for both. And also though, because I think, you know, sometimes we try to stuff ourselves too much in the box of being a good person. And then it almost like you get resentful because you're like, I did all this stuff for you. Exactly. Or we hear the age old phrase of a woman telling a man, like, I did everything for you. And it's like, maybe that's part of it, you know, the problem, right? Like, exactly. Is realizing that like, what are your intentions behind the action versus like what you think you're doing to give to someone else? Because other people don't always understand it or appreciate it in the way that you kind of expect them to. And so you're really just if you're abandoning yourself doing all these good things for somebody, but you yourself are like, you know, suffering, or, you know, you're keeping the peace out there, but not within yourself, so to speak, you know, then you just end up mad and frustrated and confused. Like, I was such a good person to this person and they took me for granted, or they didn't appreciate it, or whatever it is. And so it's like, really, I think perfectly you nailed it, moment to moment, asking, is this, you know, am I doing this only for them or only to prove that I'm a good person or whatever it is? Or does it include me? Am I taking myself with me, at least in this action where it feels good to me? It feeds me too. almost reciprocation back to me in my doing whatever I'm doing. So there is, and so even there's accountability there, right? Because I think there's a lot of people who think I'm such a good person, I'm so nice to everybody, and it's almost like that's just because they're constantly overextending themselves in the direction of everybody else, and then they have this like kind of low key like little resentment towards people because they don't get back what they're always giving out. And so then the question is, well, maybe the good person would actually just consider themselves first a little bit more, and then give a little bit less, give more to themselves first, give a little bit less, but then give fuller when they give, instead of it just being sort of like the surface level, burnt out, like nervous system fried giving. And then you're just going to be quick to be mad at somebody because you were such a good person to them and they were not a good person to you by not giving back to you. Right. So all of that is, I mean, so perfectly how you were discussing that. And so I think it does, you know, and that's the accountability piece. Right. And so I love that you brought that in too, because accountability is, I mean, numero uno, I think number one in like, like, all of it, the spiritual path, self-mastery, you know, being an awakened person, like any aspect of, if you really want to take ownership over your life and be who you came here to be, it starts with accountability. And only you know what that means. Only you know how you eat and what you drink and what you watch and who you're around and how you spend your time and your vices, or so to speak, you know, like only you know. I mean, you know, it's only you are with yourself all the time. Only you know what's happening in your head. Only you know how you treat yourself and your body, if you're sleeping and taking time, like all of it, only you know. And that to me is the core of accountability, because it's really what you do when no one else is watching, right? Like that's so much of accountability is what you do when no one else is watching.
Wow, that's so true. Such a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I love that you brought that in. And I love that you own that for yourself. I think that's really important. You know, I obviously talk about that a lot too, and full support of accountability. And, you know, I really try to stand on being the type of person that, you know, if somebody checks my blind spots or whatever, you know, tells me something about myself that I may not totally realize or get, you know, that I'm willing to receive that feedback, you know, because, and it's also true that sometimes people tell you things that maybe is a little bit of a projection or whatever. So you learn how to filter and discern what someone's telling you. But I think we can all learn from each other, you know, and that even comes when you talk to somebody who believes differently than you. You know, I talked to an atheist the other day and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit with this person and really try to understand their perspective, because again, it's not, I don't believe in right or wrong or good or bad. If that's what serves your life, is to be an atheist and to think there's nothing, that's your jam, you know, and I don't need to like make you believe, like, I'm not here to make you believe like I believe, you know. I would love to just understand, because I think that part of accountability is challenging your own beliefs. Right. People who believe differently than you, and sitting at tables with people who don't look like you and who don't believe like you believe. And so that you can at least, either you're like understanding your own beliefs better by talking to them, because you're like, okay, so they believe that, so it makes me believe even more what I feel, or like, wow, I guess I never really saw it that way, you know, like, because the atheist I was talking to was like, you know, you believe basically in God or a higher power, and so you kind of believe in everything, and they were like, you know, I believe basically in nothing, and so what is the difference then between everything and nothing? And I'm like, God, I have to really like sit. That's a really good question.
Whoa.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, but so, you know, we're always expanding. I think that's a huge part of it. And I think that's a part of the reason why it makes it difficult to plan, or even just kind of plant your flag on like, this is what I do for a living, because we're always becoming more of ourselves, and our gifts are all constantly blooming into more, and also adapting with the times and technology and other things. So we're using things in different ways as we become more of ourselves. And I love that you are on a similar path, and that we share that, because I think it's so important. You know, it's so important that you're using your voice. And I'm excited to see, you know, where you take things, and you know, do you have like a vision for your either channel or your work, or like, you know, the people you'd like to reach, or a mission sort of statement of some sort, or are you at this point just kind of like building and letting it create itself?
Yeah, I think at this point I'm definitely just like building, letting it create itself. Like you said, I'm kind of like seeing who I attract in a sense, because like, yeah, my channel is still super small. I'm super young, but I do want to start offering services later on for sure, because ultimately, honestly, I just want to work in my own paradigm. Like, I've tried being employed, but like, I realized the other day, like what the key issue is. It's that I don't like working under someone else's paradigm. And like, I finally gotten to a point where I believe in my paradigm, and I'm like, I can finally say that confidently. Like, no, like I want to work under my paradigm. I know I want, like I believe in how I think and how I see the world, and I believe in its strength. And like, I think it can stand on its own. Like, I don't need to work under like how someone else thinks or something. Unless obviously if like how we think is aligned, great. Like if our paradigms are aligned, great.
Of course.
But like, it's, for me at this point in my life, it's just so important. Or I'm trying to build something off my own paradigm.
Yes.
Because I think it's also helpful for other people.
Yes.
I think it can shed light for other people. And like, if other people can also kind of start thinking in a similar way to me, I do think they benefit from that. So that is, I guess, that's my current like mission. Yeah. Mission statement or mission. But yeah, I'm like, right now I'm just seeing like who I attract. Which, who's interested in, I guess, learning from me or gaining insight from me. Is it more men? Is it more women? You know, like, what is the Black community? How does the Black community respond to me? How does the Kenyan community respond to me? Like, that's just what I'm just kind of finding out, just like, just figuring things out, just seeing what happens. But yeah, definitely building under my own paradigm.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I'm sure at this point, if you even tried to like get a job under someone else, it would just not fit, you know, because it is true. I think once you really own your path and your gifts, it's like, there's no way that you could kind of really work for someone else unless, like you said, unless they were like totally aligned. But even then, you know, I tried that once where I'm like, this person is so aligned. I was someone I followed for a long time and I really respected her and ended up working for her. And at the end of it, I was just like, yeah, this is not going to work, you know, because I think, you know, and I think it's a blessing at the end of the day, because it's our energy being like, our mission is so specific that we're really doing our own mission a disservice by trying to fit in any box or what anybody else has built, anything that pre-exists us, because we're here to bring ourselves, right? And ourselves don't exist yet. What we know and what we live and how we operate doesn't exist yet. And so it's like key to our missions that we bring ourselves in the fullest capacity. And, you know, in some way, shape or form, it's just going to be us there, right? Because yes, we can collaborate, we can have good conversations and we resonate with each other and feed off of each other in so many beautiful ways. But at the core of what we do, it has to really fundamentally just be us. And I think that's such a key to being someone kind of in the spiritual realm, so to speak, or the healing arts realm, like, because each healer has their own unique, specific way of healing the world, right? And so, you know, we teach and learn from each other, and we have our foundations. Mine, of course, is Reiki, and so I have that as a foundation. But my work at this point is its own thing, right? Like in all of the ways and all that I do, and very similar to you, it's going to be its own thing. And so to come underneath someone else, you know, that just doesn't fit. And it's challenging because it would be sometimes easier to just get a job and, you know, like have a steady income and like it would be great at times. But at the end of the day, you're just, you know, suffocating your work and your purpose whenever you try to fit into a box that you're not going to fit into. And there's a lot of boxes in this society, and a lot of people will try to put you in boxes, and we try to put ourselves in boxes at times just because it can be nice to just feel like you relate to normal humans, you know, but to not relate to normal humans is okay too. And I think that we probably both have had to accept that in our lives, that we are just a little different. We do things different, and that's okay. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. You know, it's just us staying committed to what we're here to do and to figuring that out day by day by day. Because each day it becomes a little clearer, and then it even gets fuzzier sometimes, and it becomes a little clearer. We try the channeler and we try this, all these different routes that kind of bloom our work in that direction. And then does it stick? Maybe, maybe not. And if it doesn't stick, that's okay. You know, that's why I really at least for me, very aware of, you know, calling anything I do like a failure if it doesn't work out, because I benefit from everything that I do, from everything that I try, from all the ways that I give my message out or share my path. You know, we both do. Our missions benefit every time you just speak your truth. So whether, you know, what you think you're doing comes to life in the way that you think it's going to come to life or not, you've still done it. you know, you've still done it. And that's, to me, all that really ultimately matters, is you're kind of showing the highest powers, showing your life, showing yourself, like, I'm willing to be uncomfortable. I'm willing to put myself out there. I'm willing to be heard, because I know that I have no other choice. You know, at some point you just have no other choice. Yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. And like, that's honestly what keeps me going. Like my dedication to myself, honestly, like, it's just like, I have to be true to myself. And I think I'm very dedicated to my own joy and my own peace. Like, I think that's something, like I talked about, like my parents' love early, and especially like my mom's. I think when you're loved in a certain way, you feel like you can claim that, and you can own that, and you can claim that love for yourself. You feel like you deserve it. I think a huge thing I'm trying to do is also just help people feel like they are worthy and they're deserving of feeling good and feeling love, because like that, I find a lot of people seem to be like, are like attached to misery, or like kind of, there's like a misery grid that a lot of the world is connected to. And it makes me sad, because it's like, sometimes I'm just like, it seems like a lot of you want to be miserable. Like it seems like a lot of you are choosing into it. And like, obviously no judgment, I understand it, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yes.
So, and it's just like, yeah, that's what's kept me like doing my own thing and getting, and like creating Shanificent, and just like, that's what keeps me going, is just choosing my own love, and like choosing a joyful life for myself, and like choosing into that every day, with every decision. Because if I don't, like, who will? Yeah. Who will? No one's gonna like create that for me. No one's gonna like, you know, give that to me. I have to take it. And especially being a woman, like, you have to take it. You have to claim that for yourself. No one's gonna hand that to you. Say, oh yeah, no problem. Like, you just be a joyful self. Like, you just have a fantastic time and enjoy your life and love yourself. Unfortunately, I wish, like, that's I wish people were like open and keen to like be giving me that message and stuff like that regularly. But look, like, I have to take it for myself, and that it goes back to self accountability, like, and like a softness that's actually strong. Like, it's like, I know, I talk about softness, and I have a softie necklace, and like, but like, this is like, my strength is like keeping me going, like my own strength, like, and it's got me here, and it's keeping me going. So yeah, I think so much of this path maybe is like finding the balance between like softness and strength, or like the relationship and like the synergy between those two things. Just like mastering that in yourself, and then I guess using that as your guide, you know?
Absolutely. Oh, it's so true. So beautifully said, because I so totally resonate with that. And especially even the part of, you know, people in a way choosing their misery, you know, and I hate to say it, because it's, you know, it's an unfortunate truth. And, you know, obviously we wish that all people could just choose their joy and choose their highest excitement and pull themselves out. But I think when people are so used to it, or it's just so, you know, ingrained in them, that it's like, they just don't even realize that what's possible. And so it's comfortable. At some point, the misery becomes just comfortable. And so it's like, you know, they get uncomfortable in thinking of healing, you know, but as a healer, I'm sure you understand that it can be difficult, because, you know, people do have to actively want to heal in order to heal. Right. I mean, I posted about that the other day. Time heals those who actively heal themselves. And you know, if you're not active with it, you know, time will not heal you. If you're just sitting around and sulking and kind of in the victimhood space, which, you know, I think there's a time and a space to be kind of a victim, like even you were talking earlier about, instead of being like, why me, of like, you know, why me? Like, but there are certain moments where, you know, even those of us who know our gifts and we feel different, we're like, why me? Like, why? You know, I'm on my path, I'm dedicated. Like, why is this happening? Or why have I not gotten this yet? Or why do I not have like the recognition of just my devotion to my path? But there are moments of that. And I think it's okay to recognize, okay, I'm kind of, you know, I have those moments, and I'll sit and I'm like, okay, I'm in a victim moment. I'm going to give myself this moment. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to pull myself out, because you have to be able to pull yourself out and say, okay, because the truth is, and what I'll always come back to, like, I am different and I am gifted. And, you know, so yes, there is sometimes it feels like it's just me here and it feels very alone on the path, you know, but there's a gift to that. There's a sacredness in that aloneness, because you realize like how special that makes you. It's like, you know, you've been sort of set apart by the highest powers because your gifts are so important that they have to be very specific and they have to come online in the time in the ways that they will do that. And so there's always going to be sort of like, you know, kind of like a divine aloneness to that, because you are so unique in your own blueprint. And so if you can own it like that, instead of just feeling lonely and sad, you know, it's a little different.
For sure. I love how you said that, divine aloneness. For sure. And I love it. I love my solitude. I love being alone. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. Have you found, or do you have like good friends and people who you can speak your language and who you spend time with? And
I have like a very, very tight circle, very close circle. I'm actually not someone that can have a lot of friends. It doesn't feel good to me. It just doesn't feel good to me to have a lot of people in my life. It just doesn't. So, like I think, I feel like I'm so grateful that I feel like the divine has always put the people that I need in my life. Like as much as like, yes, a lot of me, like I love my solitude, and solitude is a big part of my life and my experience, and always has been, and I think always will be. I do have people that I'm like, I love that I can still connect with my family, you know. That's amazing. Especially because, like you say frequently on this channel, like a lot of the hardest work is done with your family. Absolutely. So it's nice that like, like, I mean, I live with them now, and like, it's just nice that I can, I'm just grateful for that, because I know that it's just, family relations are hard. They're super hard, especially when you don't have a blueprint and you are different and all that stuff. So like I don't feel alone. And also I think like something, the divine aloneness really helps you connect to the divine. Maybe that's
absolutely.
It really does. Like, and I think that might even be the purpose of it. Because I don't think you find God with other people. I think you find God alone. I think you might share. You might share God with other people. I don't know if you find God with other people. I think you can know God with other people, share God, but I don't know if you find God. So there's such beauty, and there's such strength to being someone who can spend time alone.
Absolutely.
So many, like, when you genuinely enjoy your own space and you just enjoy yourself, you like, the no's are so much easier to make. And like, what am I trying to say? Like, I don't know, just so much, you can live a much more comfortable life. Like, if you're avoiding yourself, or you just don't like being with yourself, who do you end up hanging out with? What spaces do you end up being in? What do you end up doing with your time? You know, like, so it all starts with self, and it all comes back to self. Like you were saying earlier, it all comes back to self, and the universe, God, the divine, whoever you believe in, is always trying to bring you right back to yourself.
Totally.
Always.
Absolutely.
So, I know it's scary. It's so scary for a lot of people. That's why a lot of people don't like being with themselves. It's scary. They want to face themselves, but it's like, you're gonna have to do it eventually. So like running from it, you're just gonna create more stress in your life. Constantly running from it. You are. So that's another thing I try and do with my channel. I'm trying to like normalize the conversations with yourself, normalize that, like, being in that tender, intimate space with yourself. I kind of feel like my content is the kind, like, you just watch on your own. It's just you and yourself. Like, especially because like there's not much of an introvert culture in Kenya, because Kenya is like more of a collectivist culture. So meaning like people define themselves by their group identities more than their individual identities. Like, it's more important that you're a father, you're a mother, you're a brother, an older sister, whatever, than like you are someone who likes to paint and like you like clothes and like, you know what I mean? And you like the color red. Like, so I noticed like there isn't much of an introvert culture. I've been here for 2 years. I haven't lived here my whole life. And I'm actually from here. Like, I'm Kenyan, but I grew up outside of Kenya most of my life. So I came here like 2 years ago. And in this time, like, I just noticed like, okay, like why people act super, when I tell people like I've just been at home, they just don't get it, or it just seems weird, you know? It's like, why is there no, like, because like in the UK, this is normal. This is very normal, you know, like the US, this is normal. You know, it's not a weird thing to have like just been at home or like just spending time with yourself, whatever. It is a bit weirder here just because there's not much of a like introvert culture. So I'm also like, I also see myself, or like as like the content I put out, I hope it helps. It helps create that culture and just normalize being with yourself and like being your own person too, you know, as much as like, yes, we're a collective culture and like groups are everything and your relationships to people are everything. Like we are, how strong is the group if like no one can be with themselves and no one in the group knows themselves and everyone's avoiding themselves?
Ooh.
How strong is, how much, what can we do with this, with the group? Because like I love group living, and I think that is a large part of how humans are meant to live, you know, like that's how we lived way back. Where you can rely on other people, community care, children are taken care of collectively, so there isn't so much strain on the parents, on just two people or one person. That's beautiful, but like I do see a lot of toxic community here, I'm not gonna lie. And like I define toxic community as like when like maybe it's like one person holding everyone else up, or like there isn't an equal, a balanced exchange of energies and exchange of support. It's just like one person giving support. So it's just like I'm trying to normalize introvert culture, or like just like make it, just like help people feel a bit more safe and a bit more okay, just being with themselves, talking to themselves, hanging out with themselves and stuff like that. Because it's so important, like it's so important. Like you came here for you, as much as yes, like relationships are very important and special, and like can be amazing. You came here for you, and your life is your own. I always tell myself that, like my life is my own. It's mine. It's no one else's. You know.
Oh, so powerful. And I'm really excited to see where you take that message, because wow, so powerful. Because the truth is, you know, even in America, of course, maybe a bit more individualistic, and yet still, you know, there's still pretty heavy lack of accountability, you know, like still a lot of self-avoidance. You know, I think that's probably all over the world because humans just like to avoid themselves in general. But, you know, it's no matter what the structure of the, you know, society is in terms of it being more collectivist or individualist, there's still so much self-avoidance. And so I love that you're bringing that message forward, because I think everyone can benefit from that, you know, whether they're in a more collectivist society or a more individualist society, you know, because even those two things, they're so individualist and they've, you know, done so much, whatever, you know, corporate ladder climbing or whatever it is, but it's like so much of that has still been done in the name of self-avoidance, because you'd rather not sit with yourself. So you want to just go out and work hard and work yourself to death. And it's, you know, hustle culture basically, right? And hustle culture is very individualistic, albeit, you know, you bring people up with you, but still, and yet so much of hustle culture is just because people don't want to be with themselves. They don't want to be in the divine aloneness. They're not, you know, sitting in stillness. They're not, you know, taking time for solitude. So like, I just love that what you just said is so important. I can't wait for more people to hear that and follow that lead, because, and it's so beautiful. And when you talk about it, it's so real for you. You know, you glow and shine when you talk about that. And it's like the energetics of the power of solitude really speak through you as you talk about it. It feels like a really powerful component of your message. Even introvert culture, you know, I've never even heard like that term. It's such like a perfect term. But I love that. And I love everything you've just said is, I think, the perfect way to end this, because you've just like totally nailed it. And I really just hope everybody hears your voice. Really, I'm happy to, so honored to have you on my show, because I see how important you are. And I know you've really only just begun. So you have so much more to do, and so much more you will do. And whatever that looks like, it means of just you glowing in the way that you glow and talking in the way that you do, and helping people, you know, remember themselves just by offering them, you know, the opportunity to do so, and the energy that you carry. So, and to me, that's the goddess mission, you know, I think, and I know we align there. I think we both share that of just being the light and also doing the work on ourselves, and therefore being able to hold other people accountable to their own work, and, you know, prioritizing that as like number one. And then everything else is kind of built on you having built yourself. And it really speaks through you so clearly. sincerely and completely, just to give you that recognition, because I see your work, I see who you are, and I see you, and I'm really, really excited for whatever you do next.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. That means so much, so much. Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Absolutely, Shani. So tell people where to find you.
Okay, so you can find me on TikTok and on TikTok and IG TikTok at Shanificent_,
okay,
and IG at Shanificent with 3 T's.
Okay,
yeah,
cool. And then
YouTube.
Yeah,
Shanificent as well.
Amazing. Thank you sincerely for your time. I know we're, time zones apart, but it's truly, truly an honor to have you here. I would love to have you back one day and talk more, because I feel like we could go on forever.
Sure.
But please keep going like forever. And I look forward to seeing what you do in this world. And thank you again for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I feel so blessed to have been able to be on here and to be seen by you as everything. So thank you.
Thank you, Shani. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.